Well, welcome to Chi Talks. I am Nona, and
I'm Javi.
We've got a live show here for you, and we are planning to do a call-in show today, changing it up a little bit from our guest podcast type format, which we normally do. It was suggested to us that we try to connect with you all out there a little bit more and see how things are going in your inner yin world as you're practicing along with us or have your own practice going already.
We're offering a live facilitation today through the airwaves and hoping to reach you. And when we complete it, it comes to a close, we'll invite you to call in and provide some feedback and ask questions or just let us know, what you felt and what's going on for you. And we're putting together this series that I wanted to call it Farmers Qigong. In that this season and in the current summer, with all of the work and the seamlessly ongoing movement that is required of the body, I've been finding myself having to balance that out with optimal rest.
Just a little reminder that our show Chi Talks, if you've never tuned in before, is all about the energy. Chi meaning energy, and Gong meaning work, or something, anything that takes effort and time to do. Qigong is an ancient Chinese practice where we work with the energies of the body for various outcomes. And so what Javi's saying is that for the next 3 months, we want to focus on a little bit more on the physically working body issues, I guess, that might come up during this warm season for those working outside, those of you who garden, work in your yards, all that good stuff. And it would apply to other work that involves the physical body as well.
And I would just add that this idea came about, and this program is coming about with the idea of regeneration, regenerating you. We're hearing a lot about sustainability, regenerative agriculture for the sake of land stewardship. And so in this series, we'll be talking about sustainability, personal cultivation, and self-stewardship through regenerative movement on the landscape of your body.
The inner landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
if you don't know who we are coming to you with this information that we have received through our immersion full-time training programs locally in Salmon Creek. I did a 9-year full-time live-in program. Nona completed a 3-year program. And so now we're taking our Qigong off the mountain and we're applying it to real life. And so this facilitation will be a culmination of it.
Which is actually much more difficult than being able to focus in on it full time, right?
Because having a lot of time for your practice.
Gosh, everyday life, just sometimes all the weeks merge together, all the days, and it's just more difficult to create time for yourself because you're dedicating your time to all these other things. We live in a very young world.
It's very hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
So at about 9:15, we'll start this facilitation. We want to invite you to join us and prepare your space and do what you have to do. If you want to participate, you can be sitting down, you can be lying down. A lot of you might be moving around right now, which is okay too. We're gonna ask you to stay conscious of your breath and your movement, and also keep in mind that you can always come back to the archives when you have an opportunity to lay down or sit down and rest. And if you want to optimize your rest, you can come back to this on the archives.
We just want to acknowledge that by this time, a lot of you are probably just starting your day possibly too, and not able to take a pause at this particular moment. But there is always an opportunity somewhere in the day.
And like for us, our day started really early, got right into to the farm.
Yeah,
did some work.
6 a.m.
Yeah. And drove here, and then we're going to go back to the farm after this. So it's a nice break and a nice pause. Also a good time to share this and to do this for ourselves. Talk to us a little bit more, Nona.
About the idea, yes.
Yeah.
So I have this idea of doing a show in the future about the top 10 reasons to engage in Qigong. Because, how is it different from other exercises, movement, restorative practices, health practices? I think that word Qi, the energy, is as the central focus, is probably the main difference. I know yoga talks about prana, and our teacher always tips a hat to the Indian tradition of yoga and Buddhism, which carries the very yin side of the practice, as being Indian Qigong. And I've heard a lot of my yoga teachers talk about Qigong as Chinese yoga, so there's definitely similarities there. But this idea of Qi and really focusing in on energy as the foundation for wellness, health, movement, and any attempt to achieve anything, whether it be on the physical plane or the spiritual plane, at opposite ends of the tangible to intangible spectrum. I think that makes it quite unique. And so when you look at it from this energy Qi lens, we like to see health. How is health defined in terms of energy? And we say that when the energy can flow, then we are in optimal health. And we also say that when the 5 layers of the body, and I'm sure there's more layers than just 5, but there are 5 as defined in the Qigong practice, so that we can focus in on how these 5 layers interact. When these 5 are in harmony, that's also when health is able to be sustained, and wellness. So what does that mean? How does that look like? And why energy flow? And part of that is, your body, science is starting to catch up. Your body requires a certain voltage within the body for optimum cell replacement. And that's one of the top reasons I would say to practice Qigong, is to be able to improve the way in which your body metabolizes and is able to regenerate itself. So we have a great opportunity every day, every moment, because our bodies, as become pretty widely known, is replacing itself all the time. Our skin cells, our blood cells, but even down to the tissues that we feel are more permanent, we are replacing all of ourselves. And so we can optimize the way in which that is happening and functioning. And also, we're learning a lot about gene expression. So our DNA is expressed depending on the environment that it's within. And part of that environment you can create for yourselves, for your cells. And that includes the pressures of movement and chemical environment and nutritional environment that you create for yourself, and the adaptability, your ability to adapt to those changes and also be flexible and responsive, resilient, responsive to changes. That kind of is what underlies all of that, is the ability of your energy to flow within the body. So that energy potential to support all of the activities, the ability of your body to be able to adjust the voltage of various body parts and systems, and the way that electrical pulses are flowing through your tissues, your connective tissues. And when you're at some point, I really want to have a segment on what's it called? Paraneural system. Thank you. How the connective tissues are actually conducting electrical communications from one part of your body to another, and that allows the body to adjust.
So one of the questions is, can you heal faster than you injure? An injury can be defined as overuse, strain, blunt force trauma, or acute trauma. But can you heal faster than you injure? So hopefully we can provide the conditions for healing in the cell realm for the body. Shall I read this excerpt here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So this is an excerpt from one of the books that we study, written by our teachers, called Qigong Meditation, Embryonic Breathing by Dr. Yang Jingming. And if people out there are listening and they know these books, this is the yellow one. And embryonic breathing is known as the root of Qigong practice, the root of Kung Fu practice as well, as an internal cultivation practice. So this excerpt is called Anthology of Taoist Village. What does to condense mean? It means to gather. What is Shen? It is the righteous thought in the Xin. Shen is the word for spirit. What is Shen? It is the righteous thought of the emotional mind, Xin. And what is Shi is profound breathing. What is profound breathing? It is to induce pre-heaven real Qi, the original Qi. There is no shape and no appearance. This pre-heaven Qi is generated at the time of extreme I have trouble saying this word, nihility. Extreme nihility, nothingness, emptiness, and sincere calmness. So this pre-heaven Qi, this real Qi that you are connected to, source Qi possibly, is generated at the time of extreme nothingness and sincere calmness. And that's what we're going to try to find today. Shui. What is Shui? The real lower dantian, the center of gravity, the abdominal cavity. This is the original root producing this pre-heaven real Qi. And why do we condense our spirit at this place, at this center, at the Qi cavity? It is to place and condense our righteous thought at this cavity, in this place, and not allow the spirit to be distracted and move away from the body. When the spirit is condensed, then the fire can be gathered, the Qi can be gathered. When the fire is gathered and led downward, the water will rise automatically. And this important key is important for fire and water's mutual coordination. It is also the marvelous, crucial way to condense the Shen at the Qi cavity in the lower dantian, the abdominal area and region. Every breath is soft and continuous and returns to this root. This means that the breathing does not separate from the basic foundation of producing Qi. It is as if we were existing and as if it had been forgotten, and it seems to be there while not being there. This is embryonic breathing, and this is what was practiced in ancient times. So you must understand that this breathing follows the natural way. If the spirit can be condensed at the Qi cavity, then the breathing will also be stabilized at this original root. So a lot of practices have you placing your attention and your focus in your abdominal cavity. This excerpt speaks to that. Placing your mind, placing your awareness, and even placing your hands in your on your belly. And so part of what we're going to facilitate today is going to be mirrored by this excerpt here. Are we about ready to get started? It's about time, like I said, just prepare yourself, prepare some things. What you'll want to do is lay down or sit down in a comfortable space or place. You'll want to limit your distractions. I open the windows to have fresh air coming in. Use the restroom if you need to. You want to give yourself at least 30 minutes here. Hopefully you didn't eat a large meal. Use the restroom if I didn't say that. Turn off your devices and limit distractions. What else? Let the dog out. Feed the cat if you need to. Turn off the burner if there's anything on the burner. Let's see. here's some of the principles that we're going to be looking at and that we ask you to keep in mind during this facilitation. When you're breathing, try to be aware and conscious of your breathing as slow, smooth, and continuous. This is going to create the conditions required for the rest and what we call the semi-sleep state, a foundation for the meditative state. We're asking you to try to deepen your sense of feeling in the body and the communication network between the brain and the body. Note transitions from stillness to movement as we're doing this facilitation, and note transitions from physical to mental. And we're going to guide you through all of this. Note how it feels. You're going to move slowly from stillness into movement, and you're going to move slowly from movement into stillness, and follow and note the sensations. We'll ask you to increase range of motion to stay awake if you feel like you start to doze off. Well, and then you'll decrease range of motion in order to relax and sustain the semi-sleep state. We're going to be using spiral movement to increase or decrease movement. And spiral movement is natural Tai Chi movement. If you can envision a spiral, do that now. We're going to ask you to use this and follow this movement in the body. Visualize also a circle and a dot in the center. Visualize that now. And we're going to use these patterns to develop the relationship of center and get a sense and a feeling of complete, still, and empty center. And then we're going to distribute that whole feeling throughout the entire body. Any questions? Is what I would usually ask if people are present. What do you think, Nona? Shall we get started?
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge that you just covered a lot right there in,
Yeah.
in like 2 minutes, including the passage. And, even me just listening to you, even though I've read that before and have practiced Qigong before, and embryonic breathing a lot, that was still a lot of material, and it would take a little bit to unpack what it is that you shared. But I think that the essence of that, what you were saying, or what the passage was trying to get at, is the gathering of the energy. Yeah, that's to condense, to gather is how that passage started. And so we're going to engage in that. And I think it would be good for you to share where you apply this exercise, because I think you were started with that when you were talking to me about it earlier, what you wanted to share for the show. It made a lot of sense why we would start. Why start
Why we're starting here in this series. Why we're starting here is because when we open our eyes to the light of the morning, the mind and the energy and the spirit already begin to be pulled away from the body. The things that you have to do, the conversations that you have to have, the people that you have to meet, the appointments you have to make, all of that starts to take the energy away from your body. And so it is up to us, it's up to you to condense, bring it back to its root, to its center. And this is for optimal healing. And providing the conditions for healing and self-regulation. And so in the morning, this is what I have been starting to do with a very young movement day. And all the things that we had to do is really just looking at myself, monitoring what's going on so that I can modulate throughout the day various things that are happening in the body, back, joints, hands, wrists, mind.
And that goes back to the idea that Javi, you always say that we want to catch the whispers of the body instead of waiting until they're screaming at us or something, so we want to honor ourselves and give us a moment to check in and see what those whispers are, is basically creating a space for listening. But energetically, as soon as your mind starts going, it starts consuming that vital energy that you have. The brain actually consumes more energy than most other tissues. And so as soon as our thinking starts, there goes our energy that we were throughout the night using for healing and using for regeneration. as soon as your eyes open, boom.
All right. So we should get started, but I'll finish by saying that what she's saying is very accurate and correct. So every morning what I try to do is, before the energy starts being taken, I use my energy to put it back into me and into my body.
Mm-hmm. Starting on the right foot.
Yeah, right. And so this is what I'm going to share with you today. Is what we're doing is a variation of what I do every morning. Right. Yeah, we should dive in here. Yes, like I said. All right. You're going to want to lay down. You can sit down as well, and you can even stand up. There's definitely variations. The idea is to reach the semi-sleep state and sustain the semi-sleep state here. If you start to doze off, that's okay too. You're at home. Of course, if you're driving, you don't want to be dozing off. But I want to invite you to come back to the archives and do this when you have a chance to lay down. So the position here and the posture is laying down or sitting down. Here we're sitting down, but like I said, in the mornings I'm laying down in bed. It's the first thing I'm doing. And you're going to place the hands at the abdomen. And you're going to start to bring your attention and your awareness to the abdomen. Take a deep breath and inhale and feel the abdomen press against the hands. As you exhale, feel the abdomen retract, contract. Feel the hands also retract. It repeats, and you inhale again, and you feel the abdomen press against the hands. Slow, smooth, continuous. Develop a nice deep breathing pace that's comfortable for you. The idea is comfort here, no strain. Complete relaxation. This will create the conditions for our healing and our rest and our regeneration. You're developing that nice deep breathing pace for yourself. When you inhale, you feel the hands press against the abdomen. And you exhale, they retract. If you're laying down, you can feel the weight of the hands on the abdomen.
It's almost like a boat on a wave.
And let yourself find comfort, be comfortable in this breathing pace. Try to get a sense and try to get a feeling of just the slightest shift in relaxation or in down regulation. Because you want to connect your nervous system to your brain, to your mind, and feel these shifts. The mind's still at the dantian. We call this the energy center, the lower abdomen, the real dantian. The also elixir field, where we're cultivating energy. And so now let's continue. We're going to move on to the next section here, but this is a building process, so still keep the deep abdominal breathing pace for yourself. Try to get a sense of your whole lower abdomen expanding, not just the abdomen, but the lower back, the side of the abdomen, the sides. And I like to envision my abdomen as a cavity of empty space. And the abdominal walls expand this cavity. Abdominal walls contract to make this cavity smaller. And I hope you've settled into that nice, deep breathing pace, comfortable for you. You might be on the edge of sleep, relaxation. That's great, but don't doze off here just yet. Great. Now let's visit the patterns that we envisioned. We envisioned a spiral. We envisioned a circle with a dot. We're beginning in the absolute center of our lower abdomen, visualizing this circle, this dot. From this, our complete center, we are spiraling outward. And this will be mirrored by the hands. So we're going to start circling with the hands over the abdomen. This is going to be moving in the direction of the bowel system. If you're looking directly down at your hands, it's moving clockwise. Nice, smooth, comfortable circles. You can hover away about an inch from your abdomen. You can maintain contact on your clothes. You can place your hands under your shirt to maintain skin contact with the hands. And the idea is nice, smooth, comfortable, soothing circles of the hands.
So just to clarify, since this is a radio program, you can't see Javi doing the circles. We're just going up the right side of the body, coming up and over, and going down the left side of the body. And we're starting with small micro circles, starting from a center dot, moving in a spiral, making the radius of the circle larger and larger as we spiral out from that central location. Nice and slow, up with the inhale, out, down with the exhale, until we make the circle larger to beyond the circumference of the largest circle.
And so you might feel your ribs, the lower ribs. You might even feel your pelvic bone as you make the circles larger, and that's okay.
We want to go light here, nice and energetic, not so much a physical exercise. That's why the hovering above is fine too, almost like just an energy massage, so to speak, soothing, because this could affect the bowel movements as well.
Right.
It's quite a powerful exercise, more powerful than most imagine it to be. I've had students who've discovered it's affected their bowel movements quite a bit, and we're surprised. So go light with it, go gentle, be nurturing to yourselves.
And with that, let's go ahead and spiral back inward into center.
So same direction, yet
Same direction.
now the radius is going to slowly get smaller here. Continue to relax and breathe.
You might have some nice sighs where you're exhaling and releasing any stress or tension. Lean into the sighs and let those circles get smaller and smaller as you spiral inward until you come to a halt and until you can't move anymore. Now stay aware here, because if the physical movement stops, the mental and energetic movement continues deeper into the body. Your mind can still continue honing in on center as you spiral inward and spiral deeper. Try to get a sense of this mental spiraling, and also bring the mental circles, to a halt as well as you hone in deeper to center. Feel a sense of calmness, stillness, and ease here. Maybe even emptiness. A nice, relaxed, semi-sleep state. And see how that feels as you're completely still right here, right now. Excellent. Now we'll move on to the next movement.
And if you're just tuning in, this is Chi Talks with Javi and Nona. You're tuned to KMUD Garberville 91.1 FM in the Redwoods. And we are doing a little bit of a different show today. We've been talking about regenerative movement, regeneration of your body. And we were particularly talking about possibly regenerating yourself after a hard day's work. A lot of movement, a lot of physical activity, and what you could do to restore.
All right. And so for those of you who have been following us, stay in this state. Feel this sense of calmness and ease. Now we're going to bring our attention as we're laying down or sitting down to the tailbone. It's going to be quite challenging if you're sitting down. But if you're laying down, this is the movement I do every morning. Now we're going to take the tailbone and move in this same pattern from the circle and the central dot. We're going to spiral outward. Get a sense of the mental spiral initiating first from center at the tailbone.
You can go either clockwise or
Yes.
counterclockwise. You want to start in one direction.
And try to get a sense of where the mental circle meets the physical tissues as you begin moving your body and moving the tailbone in this spiral pattern. And this is going to be very key for building the sense and building the feeling. As the circle spirals, as the spiral gets larger and the circles get larger, you access more tissues. Remember, you want to maintain relaxation. If you're starting to doze off, let those circles get larger and access more tissues. If you want to relax more, keep the circles more in the mental realm. Let's do 3 more circles and let's access some physical tissues to feel that. Try to get a sense of how circling the tailbone travels up and resonates throughout the whole spine, up into the neck, up into the head. And now let's start to circle back into center. Let's circle back to stillness, letting the circles become smaller and smaller, spiraling in to center until you come to a halt. When the physical body stops, the mental circles continue to spiral in deeper, honing in deeper into center. And let these mental circles come to a halt as well. Remember, slow, smooth, continuous breathing. Try to get a sense of complete center, complete stillness, and see what this feels like. Calmness, ease, stillness, and emptiness is what we're feeling. Allowing that movement and allowing that feeling to resonate throughout the whole body. And now from this stillness, from this place of complete stillness, let's start to move again with mental spirals from this center. Mental spirals eventually hitting the physical tissues, gathering the physical tissues to begin the movement, circling the tailbone, spiraling outward, accessing more tissues so that the circles get larger and larger. And for the sake of time, let's get a sense of the range of motion with large circles. Register that, and now start to circle back to center. Tailbone moving with the spiral. Let that slowly come to a physical halt. And the mental circles continue to deepen into center. The body has stopped, yet the mind and the energy continues to deepen. Until the mind comes to a halt, hones in at that dot in the circle. And so just note the sense of feeling here. Calmness, ease, emptiness throughout the whole body. And we have one more movement to do. Stay with us. And now we're going to be moving the tailbone. If you're laying down, you're moving it back towards the bed or the floor, and you're moving it forward towards the sky. If you're sitting down, you're moving it back towards your seat and forward towards your feet, or towards your knees rather. Hope you're following us. And again, as we started these other movements, start with the mental movement first. See what it feels like to mentally move the tailbone backward and forward. And try to register that feeling through the lower back, the whole spine, middle of the back, the mid-spine, upper back, neck, up into the head, up into the top of the head, and maybe even past the head as you continue waving the spine, waving the tailbone. Let the mental movement enter the physical realm, accessing the tissues to physically move the tailbone. And let that movement oscillate to become larger and larger. Waving the spine larger and larger till it meets the neck, till it meets the head. And the spine is this great communication pathway for the body, for the limbs, legs, hands, toes, fingers. And I hope you're getting a nice, good, smooth body wave here, coordinating it with your breath. You could even match it with the rising and the falling of the abdomen as you breathe as well. And now we're going to bring this movement back to a stillness, back to center, and close off this session. Let the movements become smaller and smaller, more subtle. Try to get a sense of where the physical tissues stop moving and where the mental movement continues, yet becomes smaller and smaller. So now the physical body has come to a halt. Let the mental body come to a halt as well. Here, back at center, at stillness, calmness, ease, and emptiness. And let this feeling wash over the whole body. Take a deep breath to note this sense of feeling. Hopefully your eyes are closed and you have a nice, comfortable sense of calmness, ease. Hopefully you haven't fallen asleep and you're still with us. And now I want to invite you to open your eyes and open your ears, open your senses to the world, and bring forth this calmness and stillness and emptiness that you felt. Project it out to the world as you open your eyes.
And you're listening to Chi Talks with myself, Nona, and Javi, who just shared an exercise that he does every morning for regenerative restoration for the body. And we are doing a call-in show today. So if you would like to join us, ask any questions, share your experience, the call-in number here is 3911. Again, 923-3911, and Katie will help you get on air.
How was that for you, sitting down? We've done this a couple of times. I facilitated this with Nona laying down, but this is the first time we do it sitting down.
It was much easier not to fall asleep. How about that?
Yeah, because you have been falling asleep on those.
I have been. And we talked a little bit about that when I did the first 2 times, that you probably, at that point, I probably needed that little bit of sleep. The body naturally restores, especially at midnight. It's going through a lot of hormone restoration, and a lot of functions of the body are on a nice circadian rhythm. And so those of us who might sometimes stay up past midnight or whatever it is at some points, it's actually your body loses out on some of its regenerative powers. And it's hard for night owls, but there's a definite biological reason to be in deep sleep at the midnight hour. And so sleep, I think, the science of sleep is being studied more and more, and what our bodies are going through. Definitely a good time to get rid of toxins. So if you don't already drink a whole glass of water first thing when you wake up, that's one of the most important practices, because of all the processes you go through the night. First thing in the morning, you want to flush all of those waste products out. It's a great time to take in that water and help your body out.
Do you want to go to a caller?
Oh, we got a caller. All right. Good morning.
Hello.
Hey, this is Jen. I'm from Southern Oregon.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hi, what's your name again?
Doing fine.
My name is Jennifer.
Oh, hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer. Good morning.
Hey guys, great show. I thought of one thing toward the end.
Yeah.
Like I'm totally relaxed and everything.
Great.
And I thought, instead of the circle with the little dot in the middle,
Yeah.
maybe an eclipse would be a better
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Tell me about this.
It could be solar or lunar. Take your pick.
Okay. Tell me
And
about,
that
how
is
do you
my
envision
only
this?
suggestion. Other than that, great.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the visualizations, especially describing them on air, I think that's an important practice.
I can't hear you. Okay, ciao.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Adios.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
An eclipse. How would you envision an eclipse in that scenario?
I guess, for me, I would see something that's been blotted out, right? So it's going back to kind of nothingness, shadowed, and
Like,
but yeah, it's a great image,
like
I would say.
Darkness, like dark covers the light, or
Overlapping there.
dark
Yeah.
overlap
A
the light.
nice circle. It's coming in, like merging. Things are
That's
merging.
It's always great to get people
to become one, right?
To become one.
I
Okay.
think that's a principle in Tai Chi. Right? The Great Tao, everything started as one, and then it split into two, and thus begun the movement of Tai Chi into duality from single to. So the merging back, that movement, that spiraling back to the singularity is going from this dualistic, right? You have 2 points if you're spiraling, but if you've come to center, then you're back to the one. And when the two celestial, when they overlap, that's essentially what's happening. A little bit of alignment there. Well, thank you, caller, for that.
All right. Well, just to review, what we shared today was a regenerative practice and hopefully a sustainable practice. So as you are out on the land and stewarding the land, tending to the livestock, tending to the vegetables, the crops, building soil,
to your family, to the vehicles, to your home, to the yard.
Who's regenerating you? So what we shared today was what the practice I've been doing in a very yang environment, very yang season, yin stabilizing, balancing exercise to help regenerate me, optimize my rest, and create the conditions, as Nona mentioned before, for cell replacement, regeneration of cells in the body.
In that exercise, Javi, you made a note in the notes that you made for the show that one thing that the practitioner could be paying attention to or be aware of is those transitions from the stillness into movement and back. And where does movement begin and where does stillness begin? And I just was curious, what do you find is a benefit of that awareness of those subtle moments?
What is the benefit of noting the transition of movement to stillness to movement?
Why do you recommend that you pay attention to those?
We can intellectualize it, and a lot of things we can intellectualize and know in the mind, but to have that firsthand experience and to have the nervous system feel actually that felt sense of experience takes the intellectual knowing into felt knowledge. And so in Tai Chi, we try to harmonize, or we try to blend with the natural energy. And when we die, we want to cultivate the spirit so that it can easily blend with nature. And in this practice, when we do this practice, we want to invoke a sense of nature and calmness and stillness of nature. And if this nervous system can feel this sense of calmness, stillness, and ease, then I think we can access that pre-heaven chi. One caller, go ahead.
The former caller that was suggesting an eclipse,
yes.
Do you think perhaps they meant an ellipse?
An ellipse, which would be...
Because the body is rather elongated, and the circles do tend to be more elliptical.
Like an
oval. And they got a little carried away with the metaphor there.
An ellipse. Interesting. That is so interesting. I would say, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
A solar ellipse. That's an interesting concept.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go to another caller.
Good program. I'm enjoying it.
Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I just wanted to share my sensations.
Excellent.
I'm going to intellectual sensations to more physical sensations. I didn't find myself falling asleep, but I definitely found myself in much more of a gentler space and the visualizations I was able to do, and the spiraling. And after all said and done, I felt the most warming, comforting feeling in my dantian, in my lower abdomen. And then I just visualized that energy spreading throughout my body. And it is really relaxing. And I can see how if you remind yourself to stop and to either do it first thing in the morning before getting out of bed, or at night, or even midday, that you really could regenerate your system and come into that gentle space where healing can take place.
Thanks so much. You summarized the whole show.
We're exactly the point. And that relaxation, we want to get what is relaxation, right? And why is it so important? Thank you, caller, for that. Because relaxation is one of the first objectives of Qigong, and always the primary objective. You want to be achieving all other goals with the relaxation still in mind. So even no matter what you're doing. And we talk about levels of relaxation, right? So you could just be posturally relaxed, right? You can appear relaxed. You could try to, as if you're at a social gathering, be at this, I'm relaxed,
Play relaxed.
Play relaxed.
You can use substances to get relaxed.
Definitely. We all, society definitely takes that approach. But then we talk about, in Qigong, we talk about a deeper relaxation into the muscles as well, as the tendons and ligaments. But the goal actually is organ relaxation down into the vital organs, the tissues between and the mass of the organs. If you think of your liver or your bowels or your stomach, the spleen, you want to relax those tissues as well. And so what does it take to get to that depth? And then there's an even deeper relaxation beyond that, which is the bone marrow. The question is, how many of us have ever thought about relaxing all the way to the marrow of the bone? And that's something that a Qigong practitioner engages in and tries to reach that level of relaxation, because the bone marrow is where a lot of it's happening. Blood creation, immune system, cell creation. So your bone marrow is super important, and we want to keep that vital and healthy and energy flowing through even that most inside, the softness inside the most dense part of you.
Before we close off here, if you'd like to share more of your experiences, ask a question, or just to generally reach us, you can do that by emailing us at talkingqi@gmail.com, talkingqi@gmail.com. And if you'd like a handout, I can put these notes in a handout for you, just so you can have, or you can share. I was able to write all this down, and it gives you the intro, the premise, these 4 movements we did, the movement principles, how to prepare your space, and then what might be coming next as well.
We just have a couple more minutes here. If you do want to reach us right now, it's 923-3911. Otherwise, that email address, you can reach us anytime. And, relaxation. I mean, that's when Qi can flow, the energy. The tissue is tight. The energy can't flow through those areas, through the perineal system and other connective tissues, the fascia. The information is always constantly being passed between our different cells, and that information will help the cells, each cell, know how to respond, what is being asked of them in that moment, what part of the DNA needs to unravel and what proteins created and how to replicate itself. It receives the materials through the bloodstream and the energy required to replicate itself in the best, most optimal way when relaxation is reached. So when we're working, things get tight, we've developed knots. And, through our daily day with the stressors, we develop mental knots as well. Mm-hmm. And so that mental escape relaxation is just as important as the physical. So
I just want to add, we're keeping this in mind, and I had this in mind in terms of a Farmers Qigong. And when we look at the abdomen, the lower abdomen, what we call the Dantian, the energy center, also translated as the elixir field. In terms of cultivating landscape and building soil and propagating crops, food, livestock. The abdomen is this landscape for the body in which you cultivate this energy that you will utilize, throughout your day, throughout your life. And this energy is also connected to source energy, what the scripture or what the passage said as pre-heaven chi, essentially where you came from. And the breathing that we do as the root practice called embryonic breathing helps us to find this root, this essence. And one of the larger questions that we ask is the first cell of you that was created, if that were still in the body, where would it be? So likely as the cells are regenerating so fast daily, that cell is no longer here. So in a way, that first cell that was once you is no longer here as well, but that cell is still a part of you as it's died off. Can you find that root, find that seed, and
return?
Yeah, return.
And, they talk about also embryonic breathing as the movement of the belly. We've all, as we've engaged in stressful situations in our life, engaged in chest breathing more. We hold our belly in, we tense up, we are in a sympathetic state of being, and we don't use our lower abdomens for lower abdominal breathing. And so important to breathe with the lower abdomen for many reasons. It allows for the chest muscles to relax, the diaphragm to move in a more relaxed way, as if riding the ocean's power below. Your chest cavity becomes more like a surfer, and your lungs can relax, and oxygen exchange, which is important for cell regeneration, improves. And you get massage of the abdominal organs. The spine starts to move as well when you breathe with the lower abdomen. So all these health benefits from this very, very simple thing. Yeah.
Let's hand it off. Remember, if the chi can't flow, disease and illness can grow. We wish you, what's the word you say?
Smooth chi flow.
Smooth chi flow.
May you experience
That's it.
Smooth chi flow throughout your day. And,
thank you, callers. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, Katie, thank you so much. And we will hear you, or
next month. We'll be back for the next
month.
installment of this series of Farmers Qigong Regenerative Radio, here with myself, Javi.
And Nona here.
And Chi Talks. And again, if you want to reach us, talkingqi@gmail.com. talkingqi@gmail.com. Take care.